Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to The Delicate Dynamic. I am your host, Daquana White, and we are hopping into our book reading wrap up for the month of May 2025. We did finish 6 books, and we also have another 2 books that we started that I'll talk about at the end. And then we'll go into what will be our June hopefuls. Okay, our June TBR. So these are the 6 books that I did read. And I will actually have it timestamped. So again, just in case you haven't read some of these, you won't get the spoilers. And here are the spines. So I'm so proud of myself for actually tabbing all of my books the way I wanted to. Now, I used to really underline and write and do all of that in there, but now I just go in and just tab it. And just in case, sometimes I'll underline and stuff. But anyways, that's beside the point. Let's just go ahead and hop into it. And the first book we have is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Okay, so I gave this book 5 stars. I do have my notes over here. I gave it 5 stars. I put it in like the contemporary romance category. It may just be romance. This is about Kenna, who is getting out of prison, and she is trying to regain custody of her daughter. I like this book because I felt like, and I would recommend it, I do feel like it focuses on, as they mentioned in the book as well, women and life after prison. A lot of the times we see the men come home and they talk about, oh, you're going to create, make the same mistakes, or you're going to create a better life, and you're a pillar of the community now because you change your life around. But it's never really spotlights on the women who come home from prison. So this one kind of was like near and dear to my heart because I personally know people who have overcome situations like this, and it wasn't necessarily going to get custody back or anything, but going ahead and putting their lives back together. So this one definitely was a crier. Definitely was a crier, and I just 100%, like I said, would recommend this book. Now, she does run into, once she gets out of jail, or prison, she moves to the town where her daughter is currently living with her father's parents. Okay, so she's with her grandparents, her paternal grandparents. So they not really fooling with Kenna, of course, because they feel like Kenna is the reason my son is not here. And we would never, ever, ever want you to meet your daughter because you left a hole in our hearts. And in a sense, we want you to feel that same pain. When she first gets to this town, though, of course, she meets Ledger. And if you know, Ledger is, I forgot his name. Ledger is Kenna's baby's or child's father, best friend. Yes, he is. And of course, they don't know that at first. They just are attracted to each other. And then she kind of puts 2 and 2 together. He puts 2 and 2 together. And, it's a moment where he just is like, I can't believe this. Like, I don't want to fall for my dead friend's ex-girlfriend or baby mama, whatever you want to say, right? Child's mother. So, and then it's like, throughout the book, you finally learn what really happened. And it's like, is Kenna really the reason all of this happened? Or is Kenna the cause or at fault for this accident? Why is everybody, blaming her and so angry with her? And that's when you dive into the grief. And I love books about grief because personally, I've had a crazy grief journey for multiple people. And it started at a very young age. A lot of or maybe you don't, but my mom passed away when I was 4. And from then on out, it just felt like it was a constant pattern of grief and losing people. And, so grief comes up a lot in our lives. And I love reading books that tackle that because it can help people out there who are dealing with grief and they have, misdirected anger and things of that nature. So you do finally get the full story of what happened because I wasn't liking Kenna either. I was like, girl, what happened? What happened the night of that accident? Why would you leave him out there to die? So you get that story, and it wraps up really, really nicely. She does get the guy, she gets the child, she gets the forgiveness, the parents gets the closure. And one of my favorite characters, actually, I don't remember his name, but he works at the bar with Ledger, and he used to live like upstairs from the bar, but he used to play football. Like Ledger used to play football, and I think because of the hit that Ledger did to him on the field or whatever, it caused him to never be able to play again. And I guess Ledger felt bad, gave him a job and all that good stuff. And in the process, Ledger is building a house, and it's the difference between Ledger's parents and the ex's parents and Kenna's mom. So it's just like, you have a lot of characters, a lot of character development. You kind of see why people are the way they are. And who I do love, and let me just go ahead and get his name because I can't keep saying the man that died. Scotty. Okay. So I actually, once things kind of blew over and cooled down and we communicated, I really loved Scotty's mother. She was so graceful, so kind, so sweet, so willing to open her arms after learning the truth. And she really gave me goosebumps. And that was the part where I was really bawling when she forgave Kenna. I was no good. Because I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Kenna, people act differently during traumatic events. So you can't automatically judge people based off of one decision they made that will alter their whole life. And they're probably already kicking themselves in the ass for it. So I feel like the worst moments were just seeing Kenna be beat down. They came down real hard on her. And then I also didn't I questioned, like I said, we do respond differently during traumatic events, but it just was like, bro, Kenna, why didn't you stay out there with Scotty? After the accident, why would you just go home and get in the bed? And she does explain it, and it's just like, wow, because I think she had a concussion, didn't even know. So then you got the answers, but before you got the answers, we had some anger too. Okay, so my anger was misdirected as well. And my favorite parts was talking about the grief and overcoming it, the end goal, and the house that Ledger ended up building. I think, what's his name, Grady? I don't know. He ended up giving it to the guy who, couldn't play football anymore. And I thought that was so nice of him. And then, of course, like I said, she gets shared custody with her daughter, also with Scotty's parents. So they're sharing custody and they live across the street from each other. So it's surreal. I like that. And I like that there was an authentic love connection. It didn't seem like it was because they were just both. It didn't seem like it was just because they were both sad about Scotty, but it kind of started like that. And then they just really formed this connection with each other, and Scotty ended up being the connection. And I feel like they kind of got a little piece of Scotty through each other, and I don't know how that's gonna last, but it worked out for this. And I guess it was kind of like a forbidden love. So the next book we have is The Housemaid. By Frida McFadden. I gave this book 4 stars. I think it was definitely a page turner. I probably read it in 2 days, but it was thrilling, exciting, mysterious, suspenseful. But I just was I was not really fooling with the FMCs. And I was like, what is going on with them? What is wrong? So this book follows Millie, who is seeking a job as a housemaid over at the Winchester's house, aka Nina and Andrew, and they have a daughter. I think her name is Cecilia. The thing about it though, I feel like Millie was so desperate. She was broke, she had a criminal past, a criminal history, I believe. And it was hard for her to find a job that was worth paying for. She was living in her car. And I'm just I feel like when I say the FMCs got on my nerves, Nina got on my nerves because she kind of turned into what the plot twist was, right? So we thinking Nina is like crazy and this, that, and the third, and why is she acting like this? What's going on with her? And then Millie is starting to uncover little things, you know, overhearing people talk about things. But my thing is, girl, when you first went to the interview, the landscaper tried to warn you. If he's saying, don't come work here, why would you, girl? And then if she's saying, you got to sleep in this little ass attic that is the size of this closet right here that I'm sitting in, baby, I'm claustrophobic. The only reason I can sit in here and read books is because I know the door is right there and it's open. Okay, like, I can't have a whole bed in here and a whole setup. Like, no, baby, it's not gonna work. So it's like you ignored that, but I think she was just kind of desperate and needed it. So, and you know, the house is big, it's nice, and it's just like, but you in a broom closet. Hello? Like, let's get into it. So we ultimately find out, of course, that Nina is not crazy. Andrew just makes her out to be crazy. And then we find out, yes, the landscaper was trying to warn you. The handyman was trying to warn you. And he ultimately ends up being a great hero at the end. But I feel like my worst moments was, like I said, just Nina and Millie just being dense as hell. And then the daughter, she just rude. Like, you know, she just rude. And I used to want to be like a nanny and stuff, but I'm just like, having to deal with spoiled, entitled little brats, baby, I don't know. But the best moments for me was the fact that this was like a page turner, and I loved the plot twist of it really being Andrew who's the crazy one, which is like, you know what, it really be like that. The one who's kind of disheveled and everybody makes them out to be like they're crazy, they don't be crazy. They be right about 9 out of 10 things. The one who's all put together, you know, seems so kind, so loving, so caring, they be the ones you got to watch out for. But hold on, I'm getting a call. But as I was saying, it's really those all put together ones that you got to look out for, when they seem so perfect, so caring, so kind, so loving, and nurturing. Okay, not saying people can't really be like that, but it's like when those two people kind of click and you got one that's like crazy, like, you know, mean, does weird things, move weird, like, and then you got the other one who's like the clean-upper, right? They clean up after the spouse, their attitudes, their demeanor, and all of that. Is she the problem or is he the problem? That's kind of what I got about that. And I did really, really like the ending, because this was about to get 3 stars, but when I found out Millie was about to be the housemaid serial killer, I was like, oh snap. And that's why I want to read book number 2, because yes, we have Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. And baby, you already know this was going to be 5 stars for me. This is the 3rd and final book in the Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan, following This Could Be Us and Before I Let Go. This story is following Hendrix, and oh my goodness, I would recommend it 10 out of 10. This was my 5-star baby right here. Definitely made me cry. Definitely was very relatable. Of course, I loved Hendrix. I love Maverick. Of course, I love the little meetup that they did to tie it back into the Skyland series. You know, they're going to have lunch or brunch or spa dates or whatever with Yasmin and Soledad. So it's just like these my girls right here. Okay, I love me some Kennedy Ryan, and this book just flew right by for me. I probably read it, I don't even know, probably 2 days. I don't know, but I definitely have it as a must read. This definitely made me cry. It's not the best book I've ever read, but it is a great, great book, which is why I underlined best book. So you have the go-getter, hyper independent, ambitious, rich auntie who is like, is it my turn to love? I've never felt this way about nobody. And it just was so relatable. That plus size main character finally getting her way, having her way. Okay. And granted, like she said, it wasn't a problem getting nobody who want to lay down with you. It's not a problem getting nobody who want to take you on a date. It's not a problem getting people who want to put a ring on it, but you don't always feel that authentic connection. And being plus size is not a strike against you per se, even though I once called it, like, it's 3 strikes against me, right? Black, woman, and plus size, right? And I did like a really deep video way back, and I really felt like that. But when I said strikes, I don't mean that in a sense of that's how I feel about myself, but that's how people view me. So they already view you with a certain stereotype. And anyways, so she's hyper independent. She got her shit together work wise, but her family life is low key falling apart because her mother is dealing with, is it Alzheimer's or dementia? She's dealing with something. Is it Alzheimer's or dementia? I don't know which one it is, but let me read the author's note. Dementia. So Hendrix's mother is battling dementia, and she's steadily declining, and it's just getting worse because it doesn't really get better. And she comes across a Maverick who actually, when she first met him, was presumed to be in a relationship with a model, right? And that's another thing too. As a plus size woman, when you see somebody in a relationship and you see they type, you kind of X yourself out of it. And she wasn't even looking that way anyway, because he was tied to somebody she knew. So, and then it's like, you got to question, is it worth it? Is the love worth the risk? Okay. And another thing, I just was like, I don't want this to be a messy love story, because I feel like we already get enough of the messy love story, enough of the big girl being a secret, enough of the big girl being the one they don't want to take outside and flaunt. They don't want to post on social media. Enough of the big girl being a side chick, or don't know, enough of the big girl just being put up in the house and cheated on left and right. Okay. But most stories, love stories, some of them, half of them, at least 50% have messy starts, messy middles, messy endings. I don't know. But, it made for good reading. Okay. So, with Soledad, it was the same thing with Judah. Or was it Josiah? No. Josiah was Jasmine's. Anyways, it was the same thing, right? It was, you don't really know if you want to be in a relationship with this man because of what he did to your husband, and he came in between your happy life, right? And then it just was like, whatever. Some things be having messy starts. So I ain't going to take that to heart. But one thing I really loved, my favorite thing in this was finding that balance between work life, home life, love life. And seeing if you really have the mental capacity and the physical capacity and just the capacity to handle all three. Because sometimes you just put your all into one thing and you neglect the other thing. And I have been there. I have done that. And sometimes it still happens. So like I said, very relatable. I love, what was it? What's her name? I forgot her name. But I love the auntie. I loved Hendrix's mother's sister. I typically have a soft spot for older characters when it comes to books anyway, because they offer so much wisdom and they're just so kind-hearted, and I just love that. Like I said, it was relatable. Now, I feel like the worst parts, which when I put worst moments up here, it's not really the worst moments. It's just like the things I had questions about, or, I kind of side-eyed. And that was the fact that we always had to be reminded that Hendrix was plus size. And I don't have a problem with that, because we do need plus size representation when it comes to books. But it's just like, they about to get it on in the bathroom, and my shapewear is showing, right? Oh, that's just my shapewear. And it's just like, okay, we get it, girl, you plus size. But it's like, those are the little things that people need to be reminded about, because if you are a visual reader, you want to see those things. Like, okay, yeah, we forgot our girl got a little curve to her. Okay. So it wasn't the worst thing of the book. It just was like things that I was looking at, like, okay. So my favorite parts of the book, it says favorite quotes, but what it is favorite parts of the book. And that's going to be when Maverick set Zara straight, because Zara kind of was like, girl, he ain't into you. I'm a model. Why would he want you? You're plus size. And it's like, she kind of kept trying to do that. And she even did it to Mav. Like, she's not even your type. Like, what are you talking about? And then not ended, but basically ended her working relationship with Hendrix. And I just was like, I get it. But it's just like, dang, you know, like, you and him didn't work out. You moved on. You literally in Paris with your new guy. Why are you still worried about what Mav doing? You know, like, it's so weird how people hold on to like, you possess people. People are not yours to possess. They are yours to experience if they give you that part of themselves. And we don't have any possession over people. We have to allow people, and we don't even have to give them permission, but people have to move forward. We don't have that control, and that's what we need to learn. Okay. So I love that Hendrik was also kind of navigating through the her mom's illness or dementia, and she was realizing like she had that community behind her. She had the people from the church. They had the meal train going on. She had her aunt who was like, girl, I'm gonna come do this. She had Maverick who just popped up like, what we gotta do, we gonna get this together, we gonna do this. Okay, if people gotta relocate, we gonna relocate. Like, take some time off, we gonna get it done. And I love that she had that sense of community, because especially in our 30s, being 31 in a few days, Gemini baby, in like 4 or 5 days I'll be 31. You kind of feel like sometimes isolated, seeking that community. And you know, just especially if you grew up a certain way, it's like you don't always feel like you have that community. So I just was really, really happy when Hendrix was realizing, like, you got your girls, you know, you got your man now, you got your aunt, you got the ladies at the church. Like, come on, like, you got people, you got friends, you got working relationships. Like, yeah. And then lastly, because I can go on and on and on about this, but going after what you truly want in life and not letting society dictate what's right and wrong. Like, a lot of people would say it's fucked up. Ooh, my bad. But it's messed up that Hendrix was messing with Zaire man. But how deep was Hendrix and Zaire's friendship? And y'all know I have a bunch of stories about that, about forbidden love, and, you know, in my personal life, right? And even my most recent situation was a little risque, okay? But it was like, I lost respect for the person who was a part of your past and a part of my past. And once you were blocked and once you got on that side, like, it just was like, I didn't purposely go pursue anything just to, as a get back. It was like, it happened. It is what it is. And I'm not apologizing for it. And I'm not feeling bad for it because of society and what y'all think. Like, no. But yeah, ate that up, Miss Kennedy Ryan, girl. You just know what you're doing. Okay, so let's get into the Coworker. This won't be long now. I gave this one 3 stars. I'll put a little bit of that 4th star, but I gave it 3 stars for real, for real. I put this in the read better ones category. Now this is about Coworker. What's her name? Dawn. She goes missing, and for some reason I don't feel like I be feeling like I just need a list of characters on the back, because I be forgetting some people's names sometimes. But you see how I can't get enough, child. Natalie. Okay. So, Natalie notices that Dawn is not at work. Dawn is not like that. Dawn is compulsive, obsessive. She is like real anal, right? So for her to be late, that's not like her. And then it's like a little, you know, suspenseful, because it's like, girl, we just were supposed to have a meeting, and you was also supposed to meet with Seth, and like, what is you doing? Okay. And if I get some of these people's names wrong in these books, it's my bad. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But I just felt like with this, I liked one thing. Let me talk about what I liked first. I liked how it was written kind of through Natalie's viewpoint and Dawn's past letters, right? To, who was it? Maya, whoever the friend was. I did like that, because I was like, okay, I never really read a book through letters outside of the things we leave unfinished. So I was like, I like that. I think that's cute, right? That brought me in. It was like, okay, we going from past to present, like, who really is behind Dawn being missing and presumed dead. So then we get a little deeper into it, and I'm like, I also like that it was a few people who could kind of want to, you know, off Dawn or whatever the case may be. But what I did not like was it kind of felt a little predictable. And then I just felt like Natalie, you making dumb decisions. Why aren't you just walking in this girl's house? You see all this blood. Like, let the police go do a wellness check. Let somebody like, why are you doing this? But you doing it because you feel a little guilty. You doing it because you think Dawn gonna tell that you was stealing their money from that company. Then come to find out she didn't steal the money. Then the plot twist at the end was she did steal the money. And also, of course, Dawn not really being dead and trying to set Natalie up between her and Caleb, because Natalie really, you know, putting together, organizing this race in honor of her friend who, did she? Yes, unalived herself. And, wait, is it because she unalived herself? I don't even think people knew that's what happened to her. I just knew, I think she had like cerebral palsy. But all in all, come to find out, Natalie bullied that young lady and she offed herself when she was younger. Like, she unalived herself. I'm trying to, like, you know, fit the words for the algorithm. But come to find out, Natalie's boyfriend at work, Caleb, and Dawn, the missing coworker, of course, were in on this together and set up Natalie. That was the goal, because Natalie was the reason for Dawn's childhood friend and Caleb's little sister unaliving herself. So it's like, I get it. Like, that was a decent plot twist, a decent backstory. It definitely built the story up throughout the book. And I did feel like it was a page turner, a palate cleanser. I just felt like, okay, it's like, you know, you throw in a Lifetime movie, you don't expect it to be 10 out of 10, but you gonna watch it because you want to see what's gonna happen at the end. And that's kind of how I felt about this. So Dawn got her get back because she actually took out one of Natalie's friends. And that's a secret that Natalie and Dawn is going to keep. And then Natalie really did steal that money. And that's a secret that her and Dawn are going to keep between each other. So, you know, okay, I get that. And I feel like everybody in this book was a liar. Seth was cheating on his wife with Natalie. Natalie done cheated on Caleb with Seth again. And stole money from the company. Caleb was just lying to Natalie the whole time. And wasn't, you know, in his fake relationship with her. And Dawn lied about who she was. Which, like, you know, not who she was per se. But acting like her and Caleb didn't know each other. And, you know, kind of lied about her background. Like, you didn't even tell me you was related to, like, you knew Amelia, not related. So it just was like, everybody in this book was a liar. Okay. And the cop, the sheriff, whoever, he just was trying to get down to business. Who did this? Okay. So, yeah. And of course, when they get to the beach, Natalie is the one that finds Dawn at the beach at one of the 3 that they was going to. And then Dawn act like she was about to take Natalie out. So I just was like, I mean, it was cute, but it just wasn't nothing to really write home about. All right. So my camera's talking about it's about to die. But I only have 2 more books to talk about. But we have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. And I gave this 5 stars. It is fantasy, and it's a black fantasy, which I was really, really excited about. And I put it in my must read, and it definitely made me cry. Okay. So, Bree, of course, main character. She is in early college. And what's crazy, this is in North Carolina, baby. Okay, and I think the author is from North Carolina. Or she definitely went to school. She grew up in Central North Carolina. And she went to UNC Chapel Hill. But that's a master's. I wonder if she got her undergrad there too. Either way, I was like, you real close to home, baby. We went to school 15 minutes from each other. Like, I was like, I got a new love for Tracy Deonn. A new love, and just a new love for the Legendborn series altogether, because we don't get too many black fantasies. Well, I'm not going to say we don't get them. I haven't been introduced to too many black fantasies. I'll put it like that. And this was so good. The second half of it. Because I felt like the first half, it was hard for me to keep picking it up. And I don't mean that like it was a hard read or it was slow. It was this. Because it actually had action in the beginning. I just felt like when I enter fantasy worlds, I have to be in a mental headspace for it. I can always read a romance. I can always read a thriller. I feel like those go quick. But for fantasy, I just feel like I got to be immersed in it to really understand what's going on. And sometimes you don't understand what's going on to the end when it comes to fantasy. Okay? So if you just like, I'm scared to pick up a fantasy, where do I start? What's a good beginner fantasy? Pick up whatever one you want. Because if it's not whatever one, but a highly recommended one, maybe. Because even if you don't know what they're talking about, like, do I know what a Merlin is? No. Do I know what these little hedgehog thingies? No. Like, but I'm going to keep reading and I'm probably going to learn more about it. And if the author is doing their job, they're going to introduce you to what these things are. Okay. Do I know what a Shadowborn is? Kings, like some of the stuff I didn't know. But as I kept reading, it added up. It made sense. So, worst, we'll go into the worst. I feel like the build-up was a little bit slow, but I don't even think it was that. I think it was me personally. I have to process it. So, for me, I picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down. But that second half, baby, I got through it in a night. And then, I didn't like the hating-ass racist in this book. Now, it's not the worst moment of the book. It's actually relatable. And it makes sense. She's at Chapel Hill, isn't she? She at UNC, ain't she? It makes sense. Or Carolina. Which one she at? Ain't that the same thing? I don't know. Don't get me the line. But I'm just like, bro. Like, y'all so weird. Like, oh, you only got it. You know, you're like basically an affirmative action pick. They only felt bad because you're black. A little bit of diversity. You're not in charge. Like, who are you? And I'm just like, bro, like, because people really move like that in real life. And I be wanting to, like, bro, you be having to hold yourself, like, hold back. Okay. So it wasn't the worst part of the book. It made sense to be in there. It was understandable. But for me, it just grinded my gears. Because that's real life. You feel me? So I felt like Bree was really relatable. Young, determined, but I also feel like she was kind of stuck in her fight or flight. Am I going to figure out what happened to my mom, or am I going to run away from it? And then in a couple parts of the book, she runs away literally from shit. Like, she just run away from it. Like, I can't be bothered with this. But that's literally how things work. When you trying to get to the bottom of grief, or the bottom of a story, or navigate grief, I'll say, or the bottom of the truth, get to the bottom of the truth, it really do be, you either stuck in fight or flight. You gonna have to pick one. Okay, because sometimes the truth is overwhelming and you run away from it. And sometimes you just stagnant. So, anywho, that was very understandable. Very, very, very relatable. I felt like she was coming into her own. And that's what I really liked about Brie. And I love me some Sel, but I do love me some Nick too. And I also love Alice. Alice was a nice friend. She was very, and I just loved so much. And the father-daughter dynamic. I thought that, you know, that sit-down meeting at the end of the book between Brie and her dad, it was much needed. And I was crying at that part when, I'm getting goosebumps right now. But, you know, when he was talking to her, and it was like, in a sense, you just like your mother. And when he gave her that gift, I knew it was going to be something. When she opened it, and I was like, yes. Yes. And he probably didn't even know. And I'm actually wondering if he know anything. Because I wonder if his wife kind of confided in him about just everything. Because when you pillow talk, but it's like, do you want to mix kind of the secrets of your life or things you really can't talk about with your current dynamic, your present world, and your love life, and where everything is kind of peachy cream? And then I'm still trying to figure out, like, so the accident was really just an accident? Like, what? But the last thing I really, really liked is how they tied kind of root work and our ancestors into this. And that is a superpower. Our intuition, our ancestors, that is a superpower. Okay? And I love how it was made out to be that way. Like, she basically had her grandmother channeled within her. I was like, I know that's right. Because when we say when the ancestors tell us to stop seasoning, that's when we stop seasoning in the food. Like, I'm just like, yeah, like, it just was like nothing I've ever read before. Right? You used to people being able to set things on fire, I don't know what it's called, but like make one item come from over here and move over there. read minds, freeze things, like, but set off thunder. But to have the help of your ancestors, that's something different. And it made it, in a sense, that's what made it the black fantasy. Not just having the black female, the black FMC, but letting us know, like, our blackness has superpowers as well. It's not just the things you read about. Like, it was like a way to tie in, like, our real, I guess, to tie in our real history with the supernatural. And I really, really love that. Okay. Definitely reading the next one in June. And for Legendborn, I actually listened to Dozy Reads, I believe that's her name, here on YouTube. And her voice, immaculate. She told the story so good. Like, chef's kiss. Lastly, we have Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Baby, did I annotate her? 5 stars. It's 5 stars. It's 5 stars. You do it. Okay. So, I consider this a contemporary romance. It just says romance on the back. And we're going to get into it. This is about Iris in August. A love story about Iris in August. But Iris is actually taken. Okay. Iris has a man already. His name is Caleb. And I believe they are college seniors about to graduate when they first meet. So August is about to, I believe he's about to get drafted or something, or graduate and then get drafted, whatever. But it's a big day and he's nervous about it. So he goes to the bar and he meets this girl. He's like drawn to this girl, and she's sitting there like going in at the Lakers game, watching it on a screen at the bar. And they're just like, boom, automatic connection. And have you ever came across somebody in life where it's like, if I didn't have a partner, or if you didn't have a partner, or if this was a different time, it would be us. Right person, wrong time. That's what this book is. Like, and the way this book went by so quickly for me, but it's so thick. I think it's probably like 460-ish pages. Oh my goodness. This is such a page turner. And okay, so let's just go ahead and get to it. The things that I love about this book. Of course, the love at first sight. Forbidden love, one of my favorites. August ultimately wants Iris, who is unavailable, unattainable, unreachable. And Iris kind of feels trapped in like a effed up situation. And low-key, Iris be wanting August too. Okay, but Iris knows it's wrong for her to want August because she's with Caleb. And speaking of Caleb, the worst part of the book, the villain of this story, there is nothing nice about him. He might be nice looking, but baby, that ain't good enough. I cannot stand him. I want to stomp on him. Luckily, by the end of the book, I will be able to. Okay. Ramon and Andrew a little bit. Why would y'all sit around and watch Caleb be the villain that he is? And that is how predators are able to continue to be predators and abusers, when you have people who enable them, or when they have shit on you that you can't call them out on their shit, and then you just clean up their mess. I was so mad at Ramon and Andrew. And then also in like the negative idea of things, the negative idea of abuse. And I had to check myself on that, because it's so easy for you to sit there and be like, I would never. Oh, hell no. It's easy to be like that, right? But my thing that I went back and forth with in this book is, Iris, if you knew you never loved him, because people be like, but he also waited until he got her in the perfect vulnerable state to ever lay hands on her. And it was definitely a trigger warning in this book, especially if you've been through something similar. But I was like so upset, but you can't be upset until you have something to lose, until you're in that predicament or that dynamic. Okay. So you have to get that negative connotation or stereotype out of your mind about abuse. Like, it's so easy to leave. I'll beat his ass. I'll call the cops. I'm gonna tell him somebody. Like, You have to be as manipulative about the situation and as smart and conniving about the situation as your abuser if you want to get out and make it out alive. Okay, because at the end of the day, she got out and he still came after her, not giving a fuck about what he had to lose. So don't always think it's so easy. You know, sometimes they barely want to grant restraining orders, and sometimes some people don't be caring about no restraining orders. Okay, they really be feeling like, if I can't have you, nobody can. And I had to like really check myself, but it was like, it was hurting me. Okay, and it's definitely made me cry. I was crying in this book. It just was hurting me to see like Iris being down like that. Like, I can't believe the stuff that he was doing to her. Like, wow. The best moments is going to be August's persistence. And I feel like ultimately August may have saved her life without her even knowing. Well, he did at the end. Well, no, he didn't. She saved her life at the end. He just walked in and had to, you know, like, damn, what really happening here? But I just feel like August letting it be known that he is not your only, you know, option, right? I feel like August eating her out in that closet really put that in her head. Like, you don't gotta be there. You feel me? But her, you know, but Iris, she did have moments of where she was finally moving on from Caleb and exposing him for what he was. But she was still kind of like, I don't want to ever depend on a man ever again. I don't know if I ever want to get married, ever have any more kids. And it was like, when you go through trauma, that's really the stuff that you be thinking about. So I 100% understood. It just was like, dang, you know, because August don't deserve. I love August. And it's like, when you have a great person, sometimes you feel like your unhealed version of yourself is not good enough for that person. So it was like, I was like feeling bad for August. Like, damn, you know, is Iris even going to want him for real? Like, is she going to be able to? And ultimately, of course, it turned out great. I loved it. Read the epilogue. Okay, both of them. Read them. You get more. You get the wedding. You get the adoption. You get in depth. If you like, you can't just stop at the last page of the book. Read those epilogues. Now, I loved Iris' ambition, and like I said, she ain't never want to put herself in a situation like that again. And she really had to make sure August wasn't like Caleb, because you can be that they can be that perfect person, and you find out, oh shit, they just got a switch to them. Like, it's crazy. Love the plot twist at the end. I saw it coming as soon as the stuff was released, and you know, the pictures came out and Iris had to get away. I knew Caleb was going to be there. And I'm like, Iris, why the fuck would you go to your grandmother's house? I knew Caleb was coming. I was like page turning at that point, because I knew he was coming. How you didn't know? And you been on alert this whole time. I was like, yo. Oh, I was mad. But anyways, I loved, my favorite parts was when she was like, wait a little bit longer to call the cops. Because if he doesn't pass away, he is not going to stop coming after me. I love the wedding vows and how she gave him the adoption papers and changed the baby's name at the wedding ceremony when she was giving her vows. Love the people who were surrounded by August. And August didn't let his pursuit of Iris stop him. Like, if you're meant to be for somebody, you can do whatever you want to do in that meantime, and y'all will link when y'all link. Okay, he didn't, like, you know, he was boinking, but it just wasn't feeling like these are the girls he wanted to marry. He knew they wasn't for him, just like Iris knew Caleb wasn't for her. But they couldn't automatically just be together just because they wanted to be together, right? But anyways, I feel like August was surrounded by great people. His mother had the best interest for him, his brother, his manager, coach. Like, I just felt like I loved all of the people who surrounded August. And lastly, I loved when Caleb kind of had nowhere else to turn. He got his, and they was dealing with a little bit of roots in here too, but he got his. Okay, like, And he deserved to get his. From the stuff that he was doing, he deserved, and he really was going to take Iris out at the end of that. Like, he really tried. So, I like that his father no longer stood beside him. I like that his manager no longer stood beside him. Who was his name? Marvin? I forgot his name. But either way, I liked how people turned their back on him. Because that's what they deserve. Abusers are only able to abuse for as long as they got people who are willing to cover their ass, because you can't run the show being one person, which is why when these celebrities and all of this is going down in real life right now, they not going down alone, because they wasn't doing this and perpetrating this stuff by themselves. You always need a team of loyal people who are willing to be as horrible as you are. Long Shot was good. Cannot wait to read the other two, Hook Shot and Block Shot. So, yeah. Now, getting into really quickly, because my camera is actually dying and I'm done with my notes over here. But we're going to get into... I started Truly, Madly, Deeply by L.J. Shin. But I just didn't feel like... Hold on. Let me pull the picture up. Ignore my... I got screen time limits on my phone. Okay. So. I literally did not get far. I got like maybe half of a chapter. But it just wasn't grasping my attention. So I didn't continue to pursue this read. I did not DNF this book. I will come back to it because I feel like it can get better. But I just wasn't there with it. You feel me? Then we have Onyx Storm, which was on my May TBR, but I did not finish it. I'm halfway through. I felt like it had a slow start. We will see how it ends, but I will finish it in July when the second dramatic or dramatized audiobook drops, July 2nd. So that's when I'll get back into this book, but I did finish the first half. I love the dramatized audios over on Audible for these books, but I think they're also available on like Everend or wherever you read audiobooks or listen to them. So yeah, that's the only reason I didn't finish this, is because the second part of that is not out yet. But like I said, I felt like it had a slow start. I don't feel like it was as good as Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, but I also felt like Iron Flame started to have a slow start for me too. And it's probably just because I felt like Fourth Wing was so good. So I did not finish that yet for that reason. Then we have Every Last Word, which was also a May hopeful, and I did not finish this. I am currently halfway through. It's given like young adult type of vibes, but I feel like it's written in a mature way, whereas when I think of if it had been me, is that the name of it? If he had been with me, I feel like that was written real immature. I said, we said, he said, she said. Like, I didn't like all of that. But this, I feel like it's written, it has like pieces of poetry. We're kind of inside the main character's mind, Samantha's mind, all the time. It's a cute, like, love story, unexpected love story. And she's falling, like, kind of finding herself through things. So, a nice coming of age type of book. So I'm halfway through. I'll probably finish that tonight. And let's go ahead and hop into our TBR for the month of June. And then we'll also get into 2 books that were delivered from book of the month. I finally subscribed. I finally did it. Okay. So for our June reads, we are going to finish, which I am almost done with, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. But I already know I'm going to be shattered. I have already cried multiple times reading this book. So I kind of just been stalling because I feel like I'm going to be broken when I finish this book. So that is one reason why I have not finished this yet. Like, literally. I'm going to finish it though. So June read for sure. And then we have the one I actually wanted to start on my birthday for some reason, was A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. I'm not even sure. I love going into books. I have no clue what they're about. A love letter to whiskey. Oh, is this like a book one? Because it said it also has love whiskey. Bonus content. I'm not sure. That might all be in this book. But either way, I'm super excited to read this. And I have, like I said, no clue what I'm getting into. But for some reason, I was drawn to want to read it on my birthday. Thicker Than Water by Kerry Washington. And this is a memoir. And I love Kerry Washington. Y'all know I love Scandal. I just love her. I love her down. So, curious to see. I feel like I started this. I don't know what page I'm on. So I'm just going to restart it. And I want to do the same thing to the Viola Davis, Finding Me. And probably going to restart all the memoirs that I have. Because I feel like I haven't given them all a fair chance. Like I'll start reading them, but don't finish. So of course we're going into book 2 in the Legendborn cycle, and this is Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. All right, so super excited to get into this because Legendborn actually did leave you with a little bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm super excited to read that. And then we have You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. The first book I read by Geneva was The Perfect Marriage, and then I read The Perfect Divorce. So now I really like her writing, so I wanted to see what You Shouldn't Have Come Here is about. And it's probably going to be one of my in-betweeners, you know, nice little, it's just dust flying, nice little palette cleansers, page flippers. And I really, like I said, have no idea what I'm getting into. I know what I'm getting into when it comes to Blood Marked, and even, what's the other one? A Little Life. But other than that, I don't really know. And then we have another book, which is over here. And that is going to be Catch the Sun by Jennifer Hartman. She wrote Still Beating, and that broke my heart. Okay, and put it back together. So I'm curious to see what Catch the Sun is going to be about. So that is also on the June TBR. Some mentions I might get into, depending on how quick I read all of this. I might get into Hookshot by Kennedy Ryan, and I might get into the second book from the Housemaid series. So those are my June hopefuls. And lastly, here are the 2 books that I have from Book of the Month. They do give you this bookmark, which I probably won't use, and because I use the sticky tabs as bookmarks. So I picked King of Ashes for June and The Wedding People for June. This is by S.A. Cosby. King of Ashes is by S.A. Cosby, and then The Wedding People is by Allison. Is it Espach? Espach. Either way, these are the 2 books for my June picks. I did have May picks, but they didn't get here yet because one was a sprayed edge and it was very popular, so it literally just shipped out at the end of May, so they gave me an extra credit for the month of June, which is why I got 2 books. And then I got a hat for being like a first time. I picked a hat. It was one of the free gifts for being a first time signer-upper for Book of the Month. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm super excited to, I'm not gonna read these for June. They'll probably be like in the July reads, but I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about The Wedding People and a lot of good stuff about S.A. Cosby as an author in general. So I'm super excited to check those out. But like I said, it will be for the month of probably July. Okay. So I hope y'all really enjoyed my first on camera book reviews. I did have some other ones, but I feel like it was my April ones, but I feel like I was just, I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't post them. But maybe I'll post them later on in life. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you'll get 2 book reviews in the month of June. Or 2 book videos. But anywho, thank y'all so much for joining The Delicate Dynamic. I will catch y'all on a podcast this month as well. And we will be talking about why I feel like I may never marry. Okay? So I hope y'all enjoyed.
Yeah.